Blog Talk Radio.
Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot, oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only, Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker, and I'm here tonight with PK. PK, so good to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm doing much better, darling. Thank you so much. Enjoying each day a little bit more than the one before.
That is terrific. And everybody's been concerned about you, so it's so nice to see that you're on the road to recovery, making progress. Good for
Definitely.
you. Now, I know you're under some serious storm warnings tonight out there in Tucson, huh?
Yeah, so if I should leave, you'll know why. They're saying stay away from windows. There's flood warnings. There's everything you can think of from here clear up into Phoenix.
Oh, so boy.
It's dark as could be, especially when they start out saying stay away from windows, and I'm going, oh, my God, no.
Yeah, really.
So we'll
I know.
What they have to offer.
Oh, my goodness.
It's always nice
to
have a raindrop or two, but not like this.
Yeah, you need the rain, but no, you don't need the stormy part of it. So tell us, we were talking off the air about the September 24th buzz. Not everybody, but a lot of people have been talking about it, making predictions. You are going to remember where you were on September 24th, 2022, but we're kind of all in a consensus here that it sounds more like a storyline than it does have any bearing in reality. That's what you've come to with this, right?
Well, you know, the funny part is it's a time when what we're going to be looking at has to do with communications, which tells me that it could be very much nothing more than a story. Mm-hmm. It's all about what they have to say about this, that, and the next thing. But I'm not picking up anything anywhere. We're in a sixth universal month and a sixth year that we've been in, but that will also be a sixth day, which means it'll be a personal 3-day. 3 deals with stories, communications of all forms. So I'm kind of thinking somebody's pulling the wool over our eyes, my dear.
Yeah, sounds that way. It really does.
Mm-hmm. And if anything really happens, it's going to shock the bejesus out of me because I don't see it anywhere.
Yeah, I know, really. Well, that's good news. We've had enough lately, so it's good to have something to settle down. Yeah.
Nothing but
a little too
stories
much
have been coming out that really haven't amounted to a hill of beans. And those and the powers that be are having a hard time getting their stories straight. So it just goes back to the same thing.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. Oh, my goodness. Well, I wanted to share with you that, you know, I do a weekly group where we check in with our multidimensional contacts, and this past one, we had a very unusual audio thing happen. It came in about halfway through the session and all the way through to the end until it drained my computer battery down to nothing. So it was really, really interesting, and I brought it upstairs and afterwards, and I played part of the recording for my husband, Kim, who is a big skeptic, as you all know from last week's show. And he said to me, stop it. He said, just stop playing that stuff. Yeah, he said, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You keep bringing these entities into the house. He said, I wake up in the middle of the night with something nudging me. I hear footsteps. I hear noises. Stop it, please. I thought that was the funniest thing, especially after our discussion with Dr. Beitman. It's like, oh my God. So, anyways, if you missed last week's show, you missed a good one with Dr. Beitman talking about coincidence, synergy.
It was a good show.
He was a lot of fun, and he's written a great book about it all. But we were laughing about skeptics, of which my husband is one, and so anyways, and here he was kind of admitting that he felt like he was under siege from all of the paranormal things that are happening here at night. So anyways, now I've got it on tape, and all I need is an audio specialist to review these things for me, and a photo specialist too, because you get strange photos. But yeah, that was really funny when he finally said something about it. So...
Even if you lay it all out in front of him, he's still going to argue with you about it because he doesn't want to believe what he hears and sees.
I know. Yeah, I was surprised he finally admitted it. But it's really funny. It's a really funny dynamic.
You just proved to him the fact that you are wiser than he is because you can lay it all out. He can argue about it, but in the end, he has to admit it's there.
That's right. It takes on some tangible physical form. And as you know, we have a great guest tonight. One of our favorite people in the world, Craig Campobasso, is here. He's got a brand new book out, the UFO HOTSPOT Compendium, and we're going to be talking about all these places to go. But, we had a UFO show up here, and Tim was outside when it showed up. And he was calling me in the house to come out and bring your camera, this and that. So I got out there, but by the time I got outside, the UFO had taken off to another part of the sky, but it had been right over our property. And he was so mad at me because I didn't come out fast enough, and so I could get a good picture. So I'm pointing at his hand, and I'm like, do you see what's in your hand? There is an iPhone in your hand. There's a phone with a camera.
Oh, dear Lord.
And did you think maybe you could have taken a picture before I got here? Up close and personal, the thing was right over your head, right? But, it's so funny how people react to this kind of stuff. So it's sometimes it's so startling, it's so shocking that people forget, that they have a camera, they can take a picture. But thank goodness most people are taking pictures today, and that's why we're seeing this stuff all over the Internet. It's amazing how many sightings there are. And not only UFOs, but Bigfoot. Now, remember when Remi was on? Remi is the animal communicator from Australia, and she said, this is months ago, she said there's going to be many more sightings of Bigfoot. And sure enough, that's what we're seeing. And next week, we have Scott Carpenter joining us, and we are going to be delving deep into Bigfoot. He's one of the experts. We've been very lucky to get him on the show. So the unseen becomes seen, and we'll be talking with him about this. So let's get our guest on. So let me tell you who this very important person is. He's a big VIP, and he is a multiple award-winning filmmaker and Emmy-nominated casting director. And Craig was 15 when he started out in the entertainment business. He directed, wrote, and produced the short film Stranger at the Pentagon, which was adapted from the popular UFO book authored by the late Dr. Frank E. Strange. After production, the short film collected accolades. In September 2014, it won Best Sci-Fi film at the Burbank International Film Festival, selling out all 275 seats, a first for the festival. In 2015, it won a Remi Award at the Worldfest Houston International Film Festival for Best Sci-Fi Short. The Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial Saga. He's got all these books here. You guys got to go to Amazon. You got to look up all the books. Craig is a very prolific and a very great writer, so all of his books are fascinating, and he just keeps writing. I don't know when he has time to do these films because he's writing all the time. He's also written The Ultimate Guide to Greys, Reptilians, Hybrids, and Nordics. That was released last year, but tonight we're talking about his latest book. It is called The UFO Hotspot Compendium, All the Places to Visit Before You Die or Are Abducted. What a great title. It's got a great cover on it. It's a really good book.
Title.
Oh, my God, it's great. Craig, welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here and to be here with both of you. I love you guys so much.
Oh, and we love you. You're just fabulous. You're so much fun to have on the show. Your wealth of knowledge. You've got personal experience, and you have so many contacts in the UFO field. And you've got a handle on one of the best stories. And as I was saying today, I was speaking with a friend of mine who said, oh, the legend of Valiant Thor, I would love for him to talk about that. And as you mentioned, it's in your book. So I hope we'll get to that tonight.
It is in the UFO Hotspot. Yeah, I will be happy to definitely talk about that a little bit, because I know everybody loves that story as much as I do.
Sure.
Yes, we all do. I mean, I remember reading this Dr. Frank Strange's book years ago. I mean, I won't tell you how many. But, yes, it's an amazing story. But you have led an amazing life. You really have so far, and I'm sure it gets better every day. But what brought you to UFOs? Tell our audience how this happened for you.
Well, I literally began my casting career on Steven Spielberg's Amazing Stories, right? And when the show ended is when I say my own amazing story began, because I had a shocking spiritual awakening. I want you to think of it like this. I was the guy that got up in the morning, went to work, went out with my friends, did everything the same, went out on the weekends, did all of those things, never thought about what was up there in the big old cosmos, never thought about anything but life, paying the bills, and having fun. And then all of a sudden I have this ginormous spiritual awakening, and I go through this for a course of, the first was in an 8-month period, then more of the curriculum, as I call it, continued for 2 years. So it was a major waking process from going from, oh my God, what is this? What am I seeing? And this happened with 3 master teachers, right?
Wow.
So the 3 master teachers were the ones that woke me up. And those stories as well are all chronicled in my book series, The Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial Saga. There's 4 books in the series right now, and I'm working on 2 prequel books. And then I'll finish it off at the end and cap it off, and then there'll be 7 books in total. So anyway, the book website's Autobiography on ANET.com if people want to get any of the books, and I sign them for them. So so that's what got me into it, and then I just started gobbling up. I lived at the Bodhi tree in the UFO section. And I would gobble up every book I could. I started going to, conferences. I started going to personal talks and people who were having contact and, things like that. I even went to a talk that Harley Bird gave before I even knew who Harley Bird was. And Harley Bird is Admiral Richard E. Byrd's nephew.
Oh, my goodness.
He was in Project Blue Book. Now, it's interesting how he got there, and I have the letters to prove it that were given to me by his estate, is that Admiral Byrd wrote to a rear admiral at the Pentagon and said, my nephew is recently married with a child, and he's in the honor guard, and he needs something more permanent, to support a family. And we find him then working at at the Pentagon under intelligence, right? That because I actually have his honorable discharge papers, and he is there during the Valiant Thor stay. So he actually knew Dr. Frank, and he actually writes the foreword to Stranger at the Pentagon and confirms the story.
Amazing.
How do you like them apples? Isn't that amazing?
I
and guess,
like it.
And guess
Yes,
what junior
definitely.
high I went to? Guess what junior high I went to? Richard E. Byrd Junior High.
Oh, no, really? It doesn't get any more
that's
synchronistic than that.
And it goes beyond that. I mean, there was a wonderful gentleman who had a radio show, and he called me and he said, "Oh, I got to have you on the show. This story. He said, "I can't tell you much. I used to be in the CIA." He goes, "I'm going to tell you it's true. I can only tell you that. I can't tell you much more." But he was in a rock band, and one of the guys in the rock band was another nephew of Admiral Byrd's.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
and so they said, "Can we write a rock and roll song about Valiant Thor?" And I said, "Yeah, go for it." And they did, and it was great. I have it somewhere. So
wow.
It really does get, you find these things, it gets very synchronistic. And of course I met Harley's son and had in-depth conversations with him. And so, yeah, it's amazing how all of this sort of coincides. And I'll just mention briefly, and then we can talk about whatever else you want to talk about, is, when I was writing the Extraterrestrial Species Almanac in 2019, early 2019, I got a call from a lady in Canada, and she says, I'm your fourth or fifth cousin on your mom's dad's side. I'm a real genealogist, and I'm looking for information. And I said, great, I'll give it. So I gave it to her. I connected her to my aunts who are also into genealogy as much as I am. And I said, look, I have a biological father. All I have is his name. I said, I have done my DNA, and, it's on the sites. And she goes, oh, I can find him. And by golly, she did. She found him.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
And, I mean, get this. So she says, I'm sorry to say he passed away in 2006, but this is where he's buried. I said, I'm going down to the cemetery tomorrow. So I go down, I go to the front desk, and I say, do you have the name of whoever called when you brought this man in, for, prepare him for the cemetery? And she looked at him and she goes, well, yes, I do. I have only a name. That's all I have. Huh. And I said, well, can you give it to me? And she goes, sure. So I came home, looked the guy up. He lives around the corner from me, literally around the corner from me. I write him a letter. I tell him my story. I put a picture of myself in. 2 days later, I get a call from his son who says, my dad got your letter. And I said, and my bio dad's name is Fred. I said, did he know who? I said, oh, did he know Fred? And he said, well, no, it's his half-brother. And I went, what?
Oh, for heaven's sake.
I go, so you're my cousin. I go, you're my cousin.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, I guess I am. And he goes, usually we would say this is too weird and we wouldn't respond, but you're a doppelganger for him, right? So...
Oh, my.
Long story short, this is the punchline. I go to dinner with my uncle and one of his three sons, the one that called me. And it's a 3-hour fun fest where my uncle is just literally looking at me with this big grin, so happy that his brother has a son on this planet that he didn't know about. And then so angry that he never told them.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, so just tell me everything. Tell me everything about him. And he said, well, you know, he went into the Air Guard when he was before 18. My mom had to sign the papers. They put him right in the Air Force when he turned 18. And he goes, oh, yeah, and by the way, he was in Project Blue Book.
Oh, my God.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Can you believe that?
That is too coincidental.
I literally fell off my chair, right? I go, do you know what that is? And my uncle goes, well, kind of. He said, my sons are really into UFOs, so they used to badger him all the time, but he would never talk. And I said, well, he's super secretive, as you know, because you didn't know about me, right?
Right.
And
right.
So, and he did know about me, but that's another long. Then he said, you know, after a certain, now, by the way, he is there working in the Air Force in Project Blue Book. Now, Blue Book is stationed in a bunch of different places, right? Back in those times. So he's there during the Valiant Thor time. And I'm like going, wouldn't it just be weird if he typed up that report? Could you imagine?
It would be. Yeah.
I mean, it could literally be, because my uncle said, you know, he was a very fast typist, and my guess is he was a paper pusher for a general because he could type things up fast. Now, I've seen a lot of Blue Book reports, and, you know, they do sign them, or whoever typed them up, you know, whoever did them up, you know, you'll have either a first initial or the first and the last name. So, and then my uncle said, and then he just, you know, he got tired after a while, and he decided he did not want to have a military career. Now, that's a story he told, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, or did he find out too much and it freaked him out and he wanted to get out, right? Mm-hmm. So, so he comes home and he meets somebody who helps get him into the IATSE union, and he becomes the head of construction at Warner Brothers for film and television. Okay.
Yeah,
like,
here. This is too much.
I have his career. He's doing Blue Book. I'm doing MUFON. I'm in casting. He's in set building.
Good grief.
Can you believe that?
I mean talk about the power of genetics. Yeah.
I know, right? The power of genetics.
This is all in your genes, Craig.
Yeah. It totally is. Yeah.
There's no escaping it.
Oh, no escaping it. You know, I love my father, who's no longer with us, but I just wanted to know about my biological father. I never saw a picture of him. I now have pictures. I have his dog tags. You know, my uncle's given me everything that he had. And I get to see my uncle all the time. And today's my uncle's birthday and my aunt's birthday as well.
Wow.
Wow. It's you know, it's just like this incredible kismet, and I could just feel the joy, you know, that Fred, you know, that I finally connected and was able to learn all about him. And then I found out I had a stepbrother and two stepsisters. They flew out and met me, and one of my stepsisters just sat there crying. She goes, "Oh my God, you look just like him. You look just like him." You know. So it's like I've got this new incredible family, and I love each and every one of them, and they love me just as much. So it's one of those nice stories.
That is a heartfelt story. Gosh, I love hearing this.
It is.
Great.
Sure.
Oh,
yeah.
So wonderful that you found each other. Thank goodness for that genealogist, that she knew what she was doing enough to track him down.
Isn't that fantastic?
It's interesting. And another person in MUFON also had biological parents, and I hooked him up with her, and she found his parents right away. They were, and so he got to learn who his bio family was as well.
That is great.
So it's amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my.
So,
well,
anyway, so here we all are in this big UFO field.
yeah. Your whole family's involved with it. Well, and who knows? Your father could have met Valiant Thor, right? And not only just written up a report about him.
He absolutely could have. I mean, I have met several people who met him way back when, who were separate from Dr. Frank, and some who knew Dr. Frank. And you have to remember, in the early days, especially in the 50s and the 60s, they were much more accessible. They were really gung-ho in educating people about where this world was going with atomic bombs and war and pollution and you know, how we went down the wrong path and went with Edison and not
Tesla.
Tesla, thank you. You know, because we'd be in free energy right now if we were with Tesla. So
right.
So anyway, it's just amazing.
Now, Valiant Thor, the story about him was that he came from Venus, right? And he didn't come alone. And catch us up on this a little bit. Tell us more about how this came to be.
Well, as I want to just give you a little thing about because when I had my spiritual awakening, I started working with these masters because they said, you came here to write these books. And so they were profoundly channeled by these higher beings, which were, some were very advanced extraterrestrial, some were created beings, and so on. So how they shared it is they sort of sat their soul inside my body so I could feel who they are. This is another form of telepathy. It's more of the feeling part of telepathy. And then you understand who they are. And so when I wrote the Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial Saga, even the main character, Tehran, who's a Pleiadian, I mean, in the beginning, I would cry every morning when I would start to write, and I would cry for 15 minutes. If a created being sat inside you, like Valiant Thor, it's a half hour. You can't stop crying. You know, when I was telling an agent about the story, she started crying because she connected right into his pure energy. So that's how that worked. And so when I was writing The Stranger of the Pentagon script, you know, I sat with Dr. Frank for almost 2 years just interviewing him, right? And hearing all the stories and all of that, and then trying to construct the script. And then finally came, you know, to a perfect happy medium, but I also got to feel who everyone on his craft were as well. So I started feeling and hearing their voices, and so it's a really profound experience. So he did come, and like Venus is a stopover for a lot of people in this neck of the woods in the solar system, right? So it's on the interior of the world. All of the planets in our solar system are populated. They're only populated on the inside. So you have to think of it as them terracing floors like a giant craft, right? And then they have, in settings, they have these things called synchrotron skies, which go from day to night. Some floors stay in day, some floors stay in night. And so you have the same feeling as being on the outside of the planet, but what you don't get are all the harmful rays and bombardments from the universe. But also when they have a controlled setting, they can keep the resonation field correct, so their cellular structure remains intact, and that's how they look young. They look 30 years old forever, and they're hundreds and hundreds of years old. Some are thousands of years old. Valiant Thor created beings are immortals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and this is my belief, I believe that he came originally from the Pleiades and then was there waiting for his mission to start. Because Dr. Frank said he got here many, many years before his mission started, and he was coming back and forth to Earth, right? And he said that he had told him he was very anxious to start his mission here, right? And and what's interesting is part of that mission was also to show us how to rejuvenate ourselves so we can stay young and we could prolong our lives, similar to what George Van Tassel had in it was either 52 or 53 when he met Salganda, a Venusian, who came and landed at a Giant Rock airport in which George was running. It was around 2 a.m. And he gave him the blueprints on how to build a machine called the Integratron, which would do the same exact thing. So it was interesting that there were other cases that were coming and also relaying this information. So, but Valiant Thor, when his mission started, it was on March 16th, 1957, and he lived in a Pentagon apartment for 3 years, which is below the Pentagon. And Major George Filer, who is a New Jersey MUFON state director and was a major back in the times that Valiant Thor was at the Pentagon, where he was, he said he would be walking down a corridor with another officer, and the officer would say, that's where he is during the day, meaning Valiant Thor, right?
Right.
That's where the extraterrestrial is. And so it it's just fascinating to hear everybody's stories and things. And ever since I made the short film, somebody put Valiant Thor's name on a whole mess of books, right? And I'm like, okay, well, he didn't write any of those books, right? And it's so funny because people come up to me and go, I've read every book that Valiant Thor wrote. And I said, he never wrote a book.
Oh, boy.
He was
How
advisor
disappointing.
on he was an advisor on one of Dr. Frank's books. But anyway, it's, so that story to me is,
I've got a question for you, Craig, because here he is, obviously an extraterrestrial. The Pentagon knows he is who he says he is, and yet he didn't seem to have much influence on these military people and these politicians. I mean, because look where we are today. How come? I mean, he seems like a very gentle person. He wasn't forceful about it, but what do you think?
He is, and the way Dr. Frank described him, he said he's extremely kind and gentle. He said he has one of the most important jobs in the universe. And he said, but he could put down an iron fist if needed. Now, a created being is created from the Godhead. And basically what that means is, poof, you're now in existence and you have a mission. Created beings usually oversee sections in the universe so that they can go and help with squabbles, planetary squabbles, things of that nature as well. Now, he's in charge of this sector that Earth is in, and he explained everything to them, right? He can't make them do anything. It has to be of their own free will, right? And because we know that if you force somebody to go down a course that was not meant to be, then you're going to have more problems much later on. So, but he did give them the information. President Eisenhower and Vice President Nixon were actually for his proposal. But everybody else was against it because it would put doctors, nurses, pharmaceutical companies, electric companies, they would put everybody out of business because we would become sovereign beings. We would no longer be under the control of other influences, right? Yeah. So that was the big reason way back when. And it's interesting to bring this to light now because in me doing the film and everything, it's not putting the blame on the government or those people that were in power back then. It's being made to heal that situation so that we can move forward, right? It's not a blame movie at all. It's a healing movie. And you have to know that a created being has immense foresight. They know what somebody's going to think. They know what they're probably most likely going to do, right? And but they still go through the motions and they still try, and hopefully something will get through. Unfortunately, it did not back then, but he only went away for a year when he left here, and he came back, and he's been here ever since. So he's really here to shepherd us also into, ascension and moving into the next dimension, and for all of us to rise up out of duality and become fully sovereign beings in charge of our own selves, which is really amazing and really powerful. So, and as we know, really ever since the 70s, even when Shirley MacLaine started writing her books, it was just everything started clicking and started going faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. And, even though it seems like we're on a crazy path right now, it's always going to get like this before it evens out. So
yes, good. I can't wait for it to even out.
Me too.
But you have these. This is just one of many stories in this great book you've written, and you also said you give the coordinates of where the ship is, but most people wouldn't be able to see it, right?
That's right. Yeah. So the coordinates are at Lake Mead. I've been there. If it's a calm day, Dr. Frank said if there's no wind, sometimes even though it's bleeped into the next dimension, what they do is they can still look into the third dimension from their, how do you explain it? From their windows, which are basically the outer part of the craft, because they can make the metal transparent to see through, right?
Oh, okay.
So they can make the entire ship transparent, and you can look out from all angles and see also what's going on. Or when they would bring Dr. Frank in, they would open up what they call the Very Shield. They would pick him up at the hotel, and they would drive the car and the very shield would open up, and the only point of origin that you could see inside the hull of the craft was if you were looking in the same direction that the car was. And then they would drive up and into it. But they always made sure that nobody was around and that kind of stuff. Some people did try to follow Dr. Frank at certain times, and they found themselves lost, and they had no idea how they got lost, which I think was funny. Some of his members did. Yeah, some of his members did see Val and Dawn, one of his vice commanders, and a few others, in the hotel, because they would always come and visit him and things like that. And,
how many people, how many Venusians or however many ETs are with Valiant Thor on this mission? Because it wasn't just him. There were others, right?
Oh, there's a lot. He has, I can't remember how many craft, but they're stationed, the Victor 1 craft are, let me see if I have it here, how many there are. Okay, so what we have is they're stationed in 284 locations in and around the Earth. Now, these are the Victor 1 class saucers. They each hold 200 people. So they are constantly monitoring malevolent people in high positions. They are monitoring the pollution levels. They're monitoring the dimensions. They're monitoring everything that they can from their crafts. And then he built his own starship, which is 14 miles long and 7 miles wide. I have a picture, an artist rendering of it that Dr. Frank had done that's actually in the UFO hotspot. And it's really quite spectacular. Now, this is where all of the beings from all over the universe are, who are here helping. A lot of them are human, some are non-human, but a lot of the ones that are human don't have the colors of skin that we have on Earth, right? Some of them have a blue tint, a green tint, a violet tint. Dr. Frank told me that he once, when he was on the starship, that he actually saw a rainbow wash tint of skin. He said it was really beautiful. And he saw some beings who had a zebra kind of skin. And I always just put that in the back of my head and didn't think about it. And then I was watching Linda Moulton Howe talking about something, and she's talking about contactees having contact with beings that had zebra skin.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
There you go. Right. So
yeah. How interesting.
It's just fascinating. So there are, and not only him, the rest of the universe, all the beings who are here helping, and other starships, motherships, everything really here monitoring and really looking out for us, because this is a big deal, this transformation of Earth that's going on right now. It's a huge deal. And especially for them, because, they've never learned duality. They are not dualistic beings. So it's interesting for them to learn. Now, Teal, who is one of the vice commanders on Valiant Thor's ship, she actually teaches universal beings about Earth duality. And the humans from Earth that have been invited on the craft, she teaches them about the other, a lot of the various fully conscious beings as well, and teaches them and gives them a little bit of a universal history lesson. Now, Dr. Frank got a lot of those as well. So it's going to be a fascinating movie, you guys. I can't wait. You know, we're still
we
trying
can't
to raise
wait.
the money. But
Yeah, for
sure.
Me neither. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's going to be great.
It's going to be super. Yes. Now, I was interested in the UFO Hotspot Compendium that you added Mothman, one of my very favorite cryptids in the whole wide world. And what's the UFO connection with Mothman?
Well, the thing is that nobody really quite knows where Mothman came from, right? They don't know if Mothman traveled in a craft. There would just be sightings of him. You know, there was the teenagers that saw the Mothman there. Many years before that, there were sightings of a flying man in a cemetery that was witnessed by 3 people. So a good friend of mine, paranormal investigator Chip Coffey. Now, Chip has been to the site, and he told me everything about it and what he felt, and he really feels that the Mothman was a being that came to warn. That there was nothing malevolent about the Mothman because he never harmed anyone like that. Now, why did he chase the teenagers in the car? I don't know. Was the Mothman at that time using the TNT area as a home or as a thing and it was territorial? We don't know. But I just found that interesting because, you know, those bunkers that are there in the TNT area, you know, they're small and they're just cement and, you know, it's really sort of dark and dank area, that type of thing. And so I also was able to have major conversations with other people about the Mothman. I also, Seth Breedlove, who made the Mothman documentary, right? Mm-hmm. He, you know, we got a lot of updated information there, worked with the Mothman Museum as well. And so I was able to get out there and, you know, dig into a lot of researchers, MUFON, some MUFON now, some MUFON of past, and then also other researchers who really dug into this material and had firsthand accounts, because it's interesting, when I would initially talk to a certain amount of people, they would tell me their perspective of the story, right? Like, we're talking to one person about the Kecksburg UFO, and they're like, that was proven fake. And I'm like, it was? Then why should I do it? So then I started researching. I'm like, oh, hell no. you know?
Exactly.
There was like so much evidence. I mean, eyewitness testimony, evidence, and everything. We still don't know what it was, but it was acorn-shaped, and it had hieroglyphics written along the side of it. So we've got a great, one of the sketch artists over at the publishing house did a wonderful sketch of that, and, you know, the goblins and the Flatwoods Monster and, you know, all those things of lore from, you know, a while ago that still fascinate us. But we've got the current stories. But you know how the book came about is the head of MUFON sent out an email to all the MUFON state directors saying, please elect your favorite hotspots of where the most UFOs are seen. So they all sent them in. They all sent them to me, and then I went through them, and I handpicked the top spots. And then, of course, places that I have been where I've seen them as well. And then, you know, there was one spot that is one of my favorite stories. I had heard this story for so long because a friend of mine used to work at the Bradshaw Ranch, which is just outside of Sedona. And Bob Bradshaw owned this ranch. He was a cowboy, and then they started doing rodeo shows. And my friend worked there at that time. And this place is so remote. You have to have a 4-wheel drive, right? And my friend who worked there took me there, right? And we had to park, and then we had to hike in quite a ways. And I am not kidding you. I have never in my life, I'm a sentient. I can feel things. I could feel the dimensions opened up all around there, and I could feel things in there looking like at us, walking. It was the most unnerving feeling I ever had. And then I went back a few years later with a friend in a Jeep. We rented a Jeep to get back there so we didn't have to hike in. You know, and you can look in from around the parameters of it. It's all fenced off, and you can see it fine. Now it's all dilapidated now, but they used to have these shows, and, you know, so I got to hear all the firsthand accounts from not only the researcher who researched it, back then, Tom Dongo. I'm sure. Have you ever had Tom on your show?
Oh, yeah, a couple of times.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
a wild man.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. He knows some stuff. So
he does.
He does. He really knows what's going on there in Sedona. And
he spent a lot of time there. I know he talked to us quite a bit about what some things that happened with time shifts and portals and things like that. It's quite active over there. But let me ask you another question, too, and we can always come back to Bradshaw Ranch, but you also have Gulf Breeze, and you were mentioning how some people think some of these cases are fake, and Gulf Breeze went through some of that where people were saying, oh, it never happened, and there was a model in the guy's house, but I always felt that Gulf Breeze was a real deal. What are your thoughts on Gulf Breeze?
Well, from all of the evidence, it's that the MUFON, the man that did it, I'm just trying to find it in the book because I can't remember his name. Let's see. Oh, here we go. So in the end, John Schussler, who was the international director and founding member of MUFON, he said that the Pensacola area had experienced over 130 UFO incidents that were seen by over 200 witnesses. MUFON's Donald Ware stated that the Gulf Breeze reports included 135 witnesses. 4 of those witnesses reported seeing alien beings, while 6 reported seeing blue beams and 9 reporting missing time, which raised the possibility of alien abductions, right? So his position declared that he was convinced that the UFO sightings were proof of alien visitation. And at that time, it was a super hot spot. Now, it seemed from when I read the Gulf Breeze book by the Walters, the husband and wife team, and seeing the pictures, you could see the craft and you can see it shooting down. Now, here's how people try and discredit people who are having real accounts, right? They make a model and they plant it somewhere. They did the same thing with Billy Meyer, right?
Okay.
They did this.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, and sometimes they may have built a model to show you what it looked like, right? But the one in Gulf Breeze just happened to be found by the new person that lived in the Walters house in the attic, made up of paper plates. And that they were able to put this in the air and make it glow blue and look like a spaceship. So anyway, it's interesting because even Paul Hynek, who I love and adore, the son of J. Allen Hynek, he even goes in and talks about how the government had all of these people who were out there, like Philip Klass and all of these people who were out there to sway you away, that they would control even, the papers making jokes about flying saucers and things like that. So it actually sort of takes everyone's mind and makes it seem crazy. And then here's the kicker is, did the government have anything to do with all of those crazy flying saucer movies to make people think that it was just science fiction? And I'm going to tell you why, because I just did an interview with Steve Bassett, right? Yep. And I did some research, and I found through another researcher who's in the film business that through the Freedom of Information Act, he went through 30,000 pages, and he found over 2,500 incidents of where the government paid for film and TV shows, also had say in their scripts and that kind of thing. So you take Maverick, for instance. Now, Maverick has nothing to do with UFOs, but, and I can totally see the government's position, is they want to see that if we're going to lend you our toys, then we want to make sure that your script is going to show us in the best light, meaning even the people within the Air Force. So I totally understand that. But I think that's interesting because going back to Major George Filer at the Pentagon back in the Valiant Thor days, he said, Craig, I was on an airplane once, and lo and behold, I'm sitting next to Michael Remi, who played Klaatu in The Day the Earth Stood Still. Yeah. And he said, Remi told me that the U.S. government funded that film because they wanted to see what the public's reaction would be to a human being arriving on Earth from somewhere else. Now, here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. So that film, I think, was released in 1952. Now, there was a precursor where extraterrestrials came to tell our government that a universal emissary would be coming at some time in the future. And I know that Dr. Frank told me that Valiant Thor was coming. He knew he definitely was coming in the 30s, right? So he was already in his station in Venus and then in craft here. And then, so the, oh God, I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Just remind me.
Well, let's see. You were going with a universal, somebody was going to show up, and Valiant Thor was already here in the 30s, but there was something about seeing how people would react to this with the movie that they funded.
To it. So here's $1 million question. Did they know prior to that film being made to see what the public's reaction would be before he arrived, to see if they would tell the world about him or not? See?
Yeah, they've always got their
mitts
on this stuff. Yeah, they've always got their hands on this stuff. And I remember, too, Mr. Walters from Gulf Breeze did a presentation, and he did a great presentation about everything that had happened to them through all of these sightings. But the government went in with their disinformation agents, and they started these rumors about Mr. Walter being an alcoholic. And he was seen frequenting all the bars. And meanwhile, it was a dry town. There weren't any bars. But, I mean, it's stupid on their part. But that kind of thing where this character assassination to basically make people think that they weren't credible in what they were doing, it's so reprehensible. And there's no excuse for it in my book. It's never should happen. But it's it is, and the same with Travis Walton. Like they're coming up out of the woodwork again, trying to discredit him. So I worked very closely with my friend Jennifer Stein, who works closely with Travis, and of course I know Travis. And so we ironed out the chapter in the book to bring everybody up to date with all of the new information on that case. And a lot of it is interesting. So do you remember, like, the DVD cover of the ship that was yellow? So the ship that shoots the beam down, it's this specific looking ship that's yellow and it has these black lines going through it. You mean the one that came and got the one that got Travis? Is that the one you're talking about? Yeah. Exactly. So, I'm talking to Jennifer one day, and I said, well, I just found it fascinating because a lot of the new information is, there were these Nordics on board the craft that he remembered, and that actually took him as well after he had the initial with the Greys, which freaked him out. And anyway, so he went in through, through a big bay into another part of the ship, and he's trying to tell them what just happened and what have you. And then they lay him on the table, and they put that device on him again, which he believed is what healed him from whatever, if he got radiation poisoning or what have you. But I from said, that beam. I say, Jennifer, that ship has never been seen anywhere else but with you. And I said, Dr. Frank gave me actual photographs of that very ship on an Air Force base. And he said, oh, by the way, some generals gave me these photos. These are real pictures of a Pleiadian craft. My goodness. So, there you have it. Yep. So there you have it. They're Pleiadian. So, isn't that interesting? Amazing. It's so interesting. Yes, and also the story with Travis is in the book. So everybody, if you want the latest information, Craig wrote about it in the UFO Hotspot Compendium. You can see it there. So we have a guest who is waiting patiently to ask a question. So let me bring them on the air. Hi, you're live on the air. Who's this?
Hi, this is Drew.
Hello, Hi, Drew. Do you have a question for Craig?
No, I just wanted to thank Craig for all the work he's done in kind of validating abductees' experiences. So I just want to thank you a lot.
Thank you. You're welcome.
That's very sweet. So.
Thank you.
I look at abductions as if people are feeling it being negative and against their will, or if you're brought on a craft and it's a good experience, then you're an experiencer. That's how I sort of differentiate the two in my mind. Yeah. So, thank you, Drew. So nice of you. I really appreciate that.
I think
I do work hard.
Experiencer then.
Yes. Yeah. experience, because it's done with your soul's permission, your higher self's permission, and a lot. If you're most likely a starseed, and that's part of your contract. And being a starseed means that they can come and they can bring you up, and they can just sort of re-educate you. They can help to elevate your consciousness. They can, and sometimes just being up there and being in a home environment really just brings you such great joy. I know so many people I've talked to have had that experience as well. And, me being in the industry, I ask actors all the time when I'm talking to them, I'm like, do you have any UFO experiences? And wow, some of them have some really amazing ones, ones. One actor I just talked to literally said, I was in a room looking at these hybrids, and I knew what he wanted to say, and I said, those were your children, right? And he goes, yeah. He goes, yeah, that's what was being conveyed without words.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, did you feel a connection to them? Did you feel a love for them? And he said, yes, I did. And I said, well, you have to look at that, because they're really, part of Earth moving into this next phase is through this hybridization program. Hybrids aren't here to take over the world. They're here to be, because they're going to be fully conscious, and they're going to be placed all over the Earth as well, and they're going to be teachers for the rest that are moving up into this next dimension. And that it doesn't mean that they're human and grays. There's many that are human hybrids, right? It would just be from your genetics here, and then maybe a Pleiadians, right? I mean, I know many hybrids that are on this planet right now where the DNA was actually put in the embryo, but way back when. And some of them, they can actually inject it into the DNA later in life as a child or as an adult, and then all of a sudden you have these new abilities. And,
so it could happen to you anytime?
It can. It absolutely can, yeah. I mean, one of my dear friends, she had 4 kinds. She was the kindest, sweetest thing. She's passed on, but she had reptilian and 3 humans, and 3 human kind of DNA. So, yeah, it was amazing. Just amazing. Her father was in the military.
Could she shapeshift into a reptilian?
No, she couldn't, but I have heard stories of that, interestingly enough. And but I've never seen it, but I have in the UFO community. There are some people who have done some research and said that some of them can. And I said, well, gosh, it would be so amazing to actually get that on film, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah. So, because again, not all reptilians are bad. It's like they say. There's good and bad in every race, and even though they may be fully conscious, there's always going to be renegade offshoots that digressed and that they band together and do their little thing. Yeah. So.
Well, Drew, thank you so much for your call.
The people would teach, like the ones who you said that they would teach about like the next level. They would teach like humans. Yeah. Like, how do you think they would teach? Like, how have you noticed?
Well, a lot of the teachings is about raising your spiritual vibration and how to do that, and how to work with bringing your 7 chakras, and then bringing in the 5 fully conscious, the 5 more additional chakras that move into the body, and then your 7 merge into your heart, and then the new 5 are your fully conscious chakras. So all of those are, I go through that whole thing, even with charts and the Autobiography and the Extraterrestrial Saga books as well, if you're interested. So,
cool. I'm definitely
with charts
because
and everything.
My experience, I was on the ship, but I was only on there once, and they were just trying to teach me what time is, and I thought it was, or like what humans think it is, and I was telling them that like it's about going around the sun, and they were like, that's a measurement of distance relative to an object. That's not time. Time is something else.
Yeah.
And I just could not understand the concept, and then I was off the ship. So I don't know if I failed the test or what.
That's hard to wrap your mind around, isn't it? Gosh.
Yeah.
I still don't know what it is.
But here's the thing: you do, but you just haven't allowed it to come through. So this gets downloaded into your consciousness, and when you're ready, it'll just start coming through, and it may even come through as intuition, because a lot of downloads come through as intuition, because they can't tell you things to make you go on a path. They can show you things for you to make your own decision. So look at it like that.
So they're kind of like hands off. Like they kind of give you the tools and let you do as you. Okay.
Exactly. It's your choice. Right. That's why you're a sovereign being.
Well, that's the next topic I want to get us on. Drew, thanks again for your call. Really appreciate it.
Yep.
So here is my question to you, Craig, because there is so much said that the ETs don't interfere. But I don't find that to be true. They do interfere. I mean, if you look at how much livestock they've taken, cows, elk is a big thing. For some reason, they love to take our elk. And they also do things to people without their permission. A lot of people are traumatized. A lot of people have nightmares about what's happened. So I don't, I'm not sure.
Those are malevolent. Those are malevolent aliens, right? So I look at all the benevolent beings as extraterrestrials. Created beings are the angelic kingdom, all right? Then in the malevolent realm of beings, we call them aliens, right? So those are the beings that are doing things against people's will, that are raping them for their genetic materials. I have heard horror stories. I mean, as we know, in the book, I have a whole in-depth of Calvin Parker's horrific ordeal on board the craft where those alien robots took him and Hickson in. Right. And that what the malevolent alien woman being on that craft was so evil that he today, even in his own book, and I talked to the publisher and everything, will not speak of the horrendous things she did to him.
Oh, wow.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And what, and that particular case, you're traumatized. You're literally traumatized. I've met other people who have been abducted, and they've been traumatized. One guy had eye implants all around the back of his eyes, so the aliens were seeing everything he was seeing. He literally pulled his eyelids and everything up for me to see. People have just some have had these horrific experiences, and then you say, okay, well, how can you ward them off? And again, you can literally ward them off by using, if you're a Buddhist, call on Buddha, Christian, Jesus, Muhammad, whatever force to say, and to keep them away so that you can keep your own sacred space, right? And you have to create that. Yeah.
I've heard that South America, for some reason, has more of these horrible abduction scenarios where people are seriously injured, skinned alive, very horrible types of things. But why South America? Why do more things that are nefarious take place there?
Because a lot of the people aren't going to be as traceable as here.
Interesting.
Right?
Oh.
Yeah. But there is a really benevolent race that has been visiting many South American, and for some reason it's men that they choose as face-to-face contactees, or the Alpha Centaurians. And they actually land in remote villages. They help the sick. They heal them. If their crops need water, they make it rain for their crops. They do all kinds of things. And I have a whole story about one of the major contacts where 6 people were taken into the forest in Mount Shasta in the book to meet this Alpha Centaurian named Ontaral. And one of my dear friends was there to eyewitness it. So, there's all of these amazing, amazing stories. And, for people who love to go on a UFO bucket list, for instance, I have the coordinates in the book to where Valiant Thor's craft is at Lake Mead. I have the coordinates to where George Adamski met Orthon in the desert. I have the coordinates to where the Socorro case happened, the Lonnie Zamora case, which is also in the book with all the updated information as well. And so all of those, including Falcon Lake, which was, another amazing case in Canada, the coordinates to that. But that's quite a hike. And also the coordinates to where it happened with Travis Walton. Right. So, and what's fun about the book is you get to read the updated story, and then I tell you about all the things you can do when you're visiting the site, and then the information of, phone and information, like, for instance, if it's Giant Rock and the Integratron, if you want to have a tour of Giant Rock, I have the historian's name and contact information in the book, so you can get a private tour and learn about the history. And she'll even take you out there at night to skywatch. You just bring chairs and all of that. It's so cool. I've done it with her. And then if you go to the Integratron, it gives you what you can do there. You get these incredible sound baths up on the second floor, and they give you a mini history about it. And then on the first floor, you can look at all of the various things from that time period about the Integratron as well. And it's those two places. I mean, right there, you're probably gonna see UFOs. ESETI Ranch, you're going to almost see a UFO or many UFOs at night there. There are day sightings as well. And, of course, in Sedona, I always take night vision binoculars. I see them all the time in Sedona. I even caught a metallic orb traveling from Bell Rock past Courthouse Butte in Sedona. I was driving in my car, and I saw it, and I went, oh, my God. I grabbed my phone, and I clicked off a few and prayed I got it, and I did get it. So I actually have a photo in the book.
Goodness.
And also on Bell Rock, I had gigantic Glinda the Good Witch orb phenomena. Unbelievable.
I love that.
Well, that's what I call them because they're huge, like Glinda the Good Witch.
That's great.
Yeah, so it's really cool, just all of this stuff. Because usually paranormal and UFO are sort of connected. There's always going to be some kind of component there.
Sure. Yes,
yeah.
There always is. And the book is so much fun to read. And, again, you put perspective on everything. But it's great that people can go to these locations and walk in the footsteps of Travis and some of these other people that have had these amazing experiences. But East Eddy Ranch is another very, very fascinating place and quite the hot spot for sightings. Now, I remember when we had him on the show, and John Gillibrand, right? Isn't that his name?
James Gilliland. Yeah.
James Gilliland. That was close. So anyways, he was talking about the different colors of the ships. And he said when they see a red ship, they know to stay away from it. It's malevolent. When they see a blue ship, they know it's a good one. That's okay to make contact with. So have you seen any of the red ones versus the blues up there on the ranch?
I have not. When I was there, what I saw were ships darting back and forth through the sky through night vision binoculars, and then they decided one of the ranch hands has a laser pointer and will point up and say, okay, there's a craft, everybody, and you can see it with the naked eye, and the person will just mentally but say it out loud, okay, move to the left, and then the ship goes whoop, right, and you see it move. If they move to the right, and like everybody in the Skywatch area is like screaming. They're like so excited that that they know that they have all connected to it. And then the coolest part is when they say power up, and the craft turns on all its lights, and you see all of this white light, like a bright star getting bigger and bigger with all these colorful lights in it as well. And so that to me is amazing. Now, Mount Adams, so when you're in the Skywatch area, if you look all the way down, East Eddy Ranch is all this property for, I don't know if it's a couple of miles, and then Mount Adams is at the end of it, right? And now they say, the ranch hands say that there is a positive extraterrestrial base below there, and that see ships going in and out of the mountain all the time. Now, on the mountain at night, and I saw it when I was there, there's these anomalous lights that go woo, woo, woo. Some get bigger, some are like that. And they just happen all over the mountain. Nobody knows what it is. It's similar to the Marfa lights in Texas, which I talk about in the book, and also similar to the gigantic mountain plateau at Skinwalker Ranch. They have the same anomalous lights, and I talk about Skinwalker in here as well. And so we don't know if it's some kind of phenomena that has to do with the area or really what it is. Nobody knows. But it's it's fascinating to watch, and my take on it is when you see a lot of people go, well, God, you see these lights going in and out of the mountain, and it's like because they take their craft, they put it in the fourth dimension, they leave the light part here. That's why it looks like this plasma, and then it goes whoop. And then when they get to their destination, whoop, they're back, and, it's a solid form again. How do you like my sound effects? Was that good?
I like them.
I like it. Good. Good job.
They're great, Craig. They're just great. Well, this is so much fun. I mean, there's this, and I have to say, at the same time, my heart breaks for all the UFO abductees that have been through so much scrutiny and so much.
Right.
It's just they've been through it. Been through the ringer with the government making their lives a living hell, and also way back, not so much now anymore, but way back, how people would, not believe them. And
right.
So they, they're courageous people to tell their story. And Travis is a standout in that. Betty and Barney Hill, Betty and Bob, Betty Andreasen, Bob Luca. They are all standouts in this because they've endured so much to get their story out there, to tell the truth about what happened to them, so people could begin to understand all of this. So
that's right.
We have our heroes in this field. Mm-hmm.
And by the way, for people that are being abducted or whatever, I do have a whole section in the back of the book where you can call various numbers for help. We also have Yvonne Smith's contact in there. She's one of the number one that does regressions as well, and other hotlines and things that people can call where they can actually seek professional help. And I also listed all of the UFO conferences and festivals in the U.S. and Canada, so everybody has it at a glance and all their contact info.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
that's terrific.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
section.
become your book is perfect timing, Craig, because all of this interest in UFOs and people really, can benefit from reading, even if they don't visit any of these places. They can benefit from reading the stories about all of them. You've given terrific information in here for people. And I've never seen such a high interest level in this topic before.
Yes.
This is really exciting.
I know, and I know that because even just doing this, I've been asked to be on so many television shows and things of that nature because it's really picking up. People want to know about extraterrestrials. So
they do.
I mean, they really and truly do. I was on 7 of the 8 episodes of UFO Witness on Travel Channel, and I've just shot another 4 different shows that are going to be airing at sometime this year and at the beginning of next year, all about this stuff. And
that's terrific.
Yeah. So I think it's getting into the mainstream, like the paranormal world on Travel Channel. They're sort of branching out and going into this other direction because there's so much interest.
Yes, there is.
The fear has been put aside long enough.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Patricia.
Now, how can people...
The fear has been put aside for all of this to take place. People are finally opening their minds to the fact that it's a reality, not a fantasy.
That's right.
Right. Now, how can people get in touch with you? I mean, what if people want to throw some money into your film, be involved as an investor, or just tell you their story, maybe for your next book? How can they reach you?
Yeah, they can reach me. My website is Autobiography of ANET.com, and they can email me through the website. They can get all of the Autobiography of an Extraterrestrial books there, and then that's on the homepage. And if you click Other Books, you can order the UFO Hotspot there. You can order the Extraterrestrial Species Almanac, among a few other things that I have on that page. And by the way, the UFO Hotspot isn't released until October 1st, but I have a whole mess of copies that I've already ordered from the publisher. So if they want them early, they can order them on the website, and I will sign them to them and autograph them. So
nice.
Yeah, so you can get it early before anybody else.
Ah, Perfect. Well, Craig, thanks again so much for coming on the show tonight. It's been so much fun with you. Again, the name of the book is The UFO Hotspot Compendium. All the places to visit before you die or are abducted. Well, next week, everybody. I love that. With another great show. Next week, it's Bigfoot. And until then, we'll see you on the Blue Highway. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for another radio adventure with Supernatural Girl.